farmers are feeling the effects of retaliatory tariffs from China. But President Trump is not backing down. Earlier today, he praised the U.S. economy while maintaining that the U.S. will come out on top.
So the economy is doing very well by every measure. We're having probably the greatest economy that we've had anywhere, anytime in the history of our country. We're having a little squabble with China because we've been treated very unfairly for many, many decades, for actually a long time. And it should have been handled a long time ago, and it wasn't, and we'll handle it now. I think it's going to turn out extremely well. We're in a very strong position. We are the piggy bank that everybody likes to take advantage of or take from, and we can't let that happen anymore.
Duncan is the vice president of the Illinois Farm Bureau. He joins us from Polo, Illinois, which is 2 hours west of Chicago. Brian, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, glad to be with you today, Elaine. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, Brian, I understand you farm hogs, corn, and soybeans. So how are the tariffs impacting you?
Well, we've really seen the tariffs put a cloud over the farm economy in general for the last year. A big cloud of uncertainty, and then ultimately, especially for soybeans, on the China tariffs, we've seen it have a definite, dramatic impact on price, and it's that then cascades into other markets that fall in sympathy, and see, it's at a time, Elaine, when we're facing our sixth year of declining farm income. So while the general economy may be plugging along, the farm economy was just not positioned to withstand this.
And Brian, what are other farmers telling you about the impact of the tariffs?
I think there's great concern about when does this end, what is the end game, and not just with China, but we've got a lot of tariff balls in the air with Mexico, Canada, Japan, Europe. And we're very export dependent. So I think other farmers, I'm hearing great concern about how they're going to pay their bills and what the future holds, not just short term, but what's the world look like long term in a world where trade may be a bad word.
Well, yesterday, President Trump said that he would provide aid to farmers to help offset the tariffs. Last year, the administration gave farmers billions of dollars in aid to help with retaliatory tariffs from China. Would you welcome another package like that?
Yeah, I think at this point, farmers are going to be willing to listen to any discussion of help. We have bills to pay. We grow a biological product that we can't store. We're price takers, not price setters, and we get to enjoy both ends of these tariffs. Increase in the cost of goods we purchase, decrease in the cost of what we sell. So, Elaine, farmers would rather take their money from the marketplace. We've worked hard to develop new markets, but right now, the reality is there's bills that are going to have to be paid, and we thought the runway was going to be coming to an end last Friday, but now it looks like it's getting longer.
So Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton spoke about the tariffs on CBS this morning on Monday, and I want to play a little bit of what he said.
So these tariffs are going to end up hurting both Chinese and some Americans, I'll grant you that. I think they'll ultimately hurt the Chinese more than they will Americans, in part because Chinese companies and their government have been cheating the United States for so long. There will be some sacrifice on the part of Americans, I grant you that. But I also would say that sacrifice is pretty minimal compared to the sacrifices that our soldiers make overseas, that our fallen heroes who are laid to rest in Arlington make.
So, Brian, let me just ask you, from where you sit, how do you see it?
Well, I certainly don't want to diminish the sacrifice that our soldiers make. I mean, I think the question that we have here in agriculture is not a question of was there an issue with China on trade? But the question is, what's the most productive way to deal with it? I think a bilateral or multilateral approach, which would have our allies circle around us, either through USMCA ratification, re-engaging TPP, reworking the WTO, and bringing Europe alongside. All of those, I think, perhaps could result, and that option is still open to the president, in a more satisfactory outcome without so much damage being inflicted to agriculture.
Do you see any kind of solution that can both help farmers but also keep tariffs in place?
To keep tariffs in place, I think that would be difficult. Again, I think a solution is in a rules-based approach. We win the cases that we take to the WTO, and tariffs ultimately may be a tool that we use. But I think there are options to consider. I would stress it's not just about China, Elaine. We have USMCA sitting out here. We have Section 232 steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Why? They are hammering us on our agricultural products in Mexico because those tariffs are still in place. Let's pass USMCA. Let's get our bilateral done with Japan. Let's re-engage CPTT. Even if we don't do that, even if we don't sign on to the new TPP, the fact that we're talking about it would make China nervous. Re-engage Europe, turn and face China as a coalition of the willing. I think if that had been done at the beginning, this may be ending differently, but it still could be done.
A lot at stake for America's farmers. Duncan, thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. I really appreciate it.